I believe it was an early Tuesday morning, a little after midnight. I remember coming down Center Street. Simultaneously, the comm center gave us a dispatch that the fire department was going out into Mahanoy Township for a structure fire with entrapment. I believe at that time I was passing you at Main and Center, and simultaneously both of us put our lights on, acknowledging we were going to respond. Where the house was, I believe it was right over the borough line.
Yeah, I was in Mahanoy Township.
It was Mahanoy, yeah, right over the line. We pulled in a Napa parking lot. I remember upon doing that, I could see the front of the house was on fire.
I went out in the back of my truck and grabbed the fire gear. We had a fire jacket, and I threw the jacket on while you were trying to find a ladder somewhere.
We tried the door was locked.
Yeah.
We weren't sure if anybody was in there at that time.
We didn't hear anybody at first, and the neighbors were screaming so loud, there's a guy with a baby in there, there's a guy with a baby, the mom works nights. And the guy, he's a heavy sleeper, I want to say somebody said. And then all the screaming must have woken him up, and he was just like, I have a baby, I have a baby. When you're looking out your window and you're seeing flames below, I'm sure it was like very scary for him. The way the flames were around the door, and the structure, his room was actually right above where the flames were. So he was literally right above the flames, and the house was filled with smoke.
I remember looking up the street, because usually, we both know, even before the fire, even before we get the dispatch for the fire department, there's somebody usually there. But I remember that night looking up Center Street.
There was nobody there.
There was no fire trucks coming, which, it was a short amount of time, but given that scenario, it seemed like forever.
I remember you tried the door and we couldn't get the door open, and I told you to kick the door in, and one swift kick and it was like boom, and then we just ran up the stairs. Like it really was like a movie scene where you could see the door. And
the first floor was covered in smoke, but from kicking that door in, I remember it gave us a light. It showed us where that staircase was to get upstairs, and we went up, made it to that staircase and went upstairs and found the gentleman and the infant in the front room. I grabbed the child from him. I wrapped the child in a blanket. He was a little
apprehensive,
reluctant to leave at that point, when basically you had to take control of him and start bringing him out from the upstairs downstairs, because previous knowledge after the fact, I believe we found out he was involved in another fire.
Yeah, when he was like 12, I guess
when
he was in a
young,
fire.
And he was apprehensive to, I guess, having flashbacks.
I think that's the main thing I remember, is when you ran out with the baby. And the guy, when I got him finally downstairs, because I wrapped the jacket around him, or the fire gear around him, he started arguing with me and fighting with me, saying that he wasn't going to go through, but there was no way to see where the back door was at that point. So
no, we couldn't.
We were just looking, I was just looking through the flames at you, and you were looking like, am I going to have to give this baby off to come back in? And then I finally was like, you're going, and just forced him out of the door, like through the flames, to go back outside.
Once you guys finally came out, I remember seeing the first engine was
finally coming
down the street. Like I said, it wasn't that it was a long period of time.
It just felt like a long time.
It felt like a long time. Like we said, usually them guys are
right there. Yeah.
They hear anything.
Sometimes they'll come in their personal vehicles. Like when they respond or they hear stuff, like a lot of the guys will actually come up on scene in their personal vehicles.
But it was just that night.
It was like nobody. It was like desolate. There was nothing.
For them moments until they got there. We took that gentleman and the baby. We went across the street. Eventually, when the ambulance showed up, we took him inside there. I remember pretty much for the duration, we stayed there with the ambulance. To make sure everybody was all right. Let the fire department did their thing.
I remember one of the fire guys rescued a dog that was inside too. I know that one of the guys took a dog out. But I remember the guy just kept apologizing and saying that he was having flashbacks while he was in there, that he was just scared and couldn't move.
You can't plan ahead for this stuff until you're
until you're in that situation.
It's spur of the moment thinking, and to sit here today and say, would we done anything different? Yeah, sure. I could say I would have done a million things different. What did happen was we were able to get them out ultimately safely, and nobody was injured that day. That was the main thing.